What's up, y'all? How's it going? So, going to do something radical or life-changing. Now, it's only life-changing because it's not the norm. It's not what most people do or even consider doing. And that is putting 90% or more of my wealth into Bitcoin. So, of course, I have index funds. I invest into the S&P 500, which grows, 6 to 12% a year. And, that's good. One, is good because most people don't even invest into the stock market. They consider it too risky or consider it a gamble or they just don't trust the companies that's behind it. And that's kind of how I am in certain instances too, where I don't trust certain CEOs or businesses or organizations, because they have either child labor or crime or they do filthy things sometimes, some of these companies. And of course, when you're investing into the index, you're just getting a piece of the pie of many different companies. Now, if it's the S&P 500, you're investing into the top 500 companies by market cap within the United States stock market. So, one thing, me as a vegan, I don't, eat meat, obviously, which is, not a problem for most people. But when I look into my whole aspect of investing into the index, I am supporting companies like McDonald's. I'm supporting companies like, Marlboro, like a smoking company. Smoking, cigarettes, all of those things. Now, there are ETFs or indexes or ETFs specifically, or even indexes that focus on companies, the majority of the S&P 500, but takes out the companies that focuses on war or focuses on crime or smoking or things of that sort. I forgot the specific name of them, but yeah, those companies. So I could do that as well. Now, I might not get the percentage gains as, say, SPY, for instance, SPY, or QQQ. So I'm missing out on that point or instance. But besides that, there's a whole list of other things. Earnings reports. These companies have to make a profit. That's how they survive. Most of the S&P 500 companies don't make a profit. Either they're break even, just above positive, or they're in a negative. Year after year, they have negative revenue, they have negative growth. Their balance sheets may not be that great. So, those are a lot of things to consider. So there's mainly the Mag 7, the Magnificent 7 that's powering the stock market. Apple, the Googles, the Amazon, Nvidia. Those are the companies that are powering the stock market and producing most of the S&P 500's gain. 6 to 12% a year, right? So when I'm thinking about that, I'm trying to make sure that I'm supporting, good companies, one thing, and two, making sure that I'm beating inflation. I'm beating monetary inflation, which can range from, 7%, 6 to either 9% monetary inflation rate, baseline about 7-8%. So I have that in mind. And I have my own inflation where, say, I consider it baseline work inflation, where I'm spending my time and my energy into working. You have to put that into the calculation because, a lot, especially if you work a job that's really hard, that's really, demanding, that takes a lot of, work, a lot of effort, and I have to put that in there. So that's about 3%. 3% of baseline work, work inflation. Just for, going to work, demand. Now, if you have a demanding job, like a really hard 9-to-5 job, like, you're a machine operator or construction worker, hard labor, then you could bump that up to like 5%. So now you got monetary inflation, you got baseline work inflation, Time is energy. It's all about energy in this world. Energy. So you got the baseline work inflation, and then you got taxation. So all of those things equals about, say, 8 to 10% on average baseline of inflation, or let's say diminishing energetic power that's taken away from your life. So I like to think of that energetic power that's taken away from your life. So we want to make sure that we live a life that we're gaining in power, or we're gaining in value through the time, through the effort that we're putting in with our attention, with our work, with our energy. So time is energy. Energy is time. So the energy that we put out into the world, we want to be able to get back in return. And so we want to make sure that we do that. At least I want to make sure that I do that. I want to make sure that the work that I'm doing at work, which I don't work a typical 9 to 5, I like day trade, and I do high paid market research, many other things too. So that's the majority of the time that I spend working, but it's work. And so I want to make sure that the time that I put in with that has a return. And obviously the major return is monetary, and another return is obviously the time freedom, or the opportunity to be able to be outside right now on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So I'm outside on a Wednesday afternoon pretty much. Most people are at work or a lunch break, whatever. So I have that time freedom currently, just because I'm doing skills that allow me to be able to perform this. However, who knows how long that will last or whatever. There's things that influence. It's my own mind that may influence my stock market decisions, where I make a bad decision. So many different things. But I want to make sure that I'm in something that holds value for the long term to come. And that to me is Bitcoin. So I want to pour 90% more of my wealth into Bitcoin, just because, one, the dollar's deflating. They're going to keep increasing the supply of the money, so our purchasing power goes down over time, while Bitcoin stores value. There's only ever going to be 21 million supply ever in existence. You can't inflate that. You can't create more Bitcoin. So me pouring my wealth into that, the stock market averages, like I said, 6 to 12% a year. That's just the S&P 500, or the index, ETF, SPY. And there's companies that produce, if you're lucky and you pick the right winners, like an Apple or Google, that you might get those 1,000 percenters throughout a period of 10 years. But you have to be right, and you have to hold through those times. So me investing into Bitcoin, it's a smart decision, as a savings, as an investment, as a way of taking my power back. I don't have to worry about a specific company or a specific CEO, trying to make profit on the betterment of us. One, say like I'm on an Apple iPhone right now. I had to spend tons of money just to get this phone. And they're going to use marketing. They're going to use so many different things to produce that. There's no marketing behind Bitcoin. The only marketing is me, you, other people that's promoting, that's using this product, that's using this network, that's using this blockchain. It's only us that's promoting. There's no individual, there's no specific company that's promoting this. If anything, most people don't want it because they want to hold, this is a scarce asset. So I want to invest my wealth into that. So I'm selling all of my stocks and putting it into Bitcoin. I'm only going to hold about 10% cash. Obviously, you need an emergency fund, so that's separate. Emergency fund, just in case situations happen. You don't want to sell your Bitcoin for emergencies. You don't want to put that, emergencies on credit cards. Unless you have that emergency fund in cash, then you can put emergency funds on your credit card as long as you pay it off. So 10% cash, either in stable coins or, actual dollars, cash, fiat currencies, and maybe even things like Litecoin or XRP, just because I want to make fast transactions. I don't want to sell my Bitcoin. I don't want to transact in Bitcoin. I don't want to purchase things with Bitcoin, because I want, it's like giving my gold away. Back in the 1800s, 1900s, I don't want to do that. I want to hold that. It's a store of value. But it's better than gold. So I want to hold my Bitcoin. I don't want to sell it. I don't want to transact in it. I just want to hold it and grow over time that store of value. But if I want to transact on the blockchain, then that's, XRP, Litecoin, things of that where I can Dogecoin even. Who knows? Things that I could transact quickly with low cost fees, fast transactions, Solana maybe, things that I can transact with peer to peer. Globally. Obviously, Bitcoin is the most global thing you can do, even Litecoin in certain instances. But other than that, I want to hold it as a store of value. And cash is deflating, so I want to be able to hold value over time. So 90% of my net worth, my assets is going into Bitcoin, 10% in cash or very liquid assets, or instruments, very liquid, where I can, get money quick to make transactions or to, use it for, peer-to-peer or a medium of exchange. So this is what I'm doing. It's scary, kind of, liquidating my portfolio, my stock portfolio and all that. But, some people might consider it risky. Some people might consider it risky, but I think it's riskier holding your money into these assets, into this index. I think it's less risky holding it into Bitcoin just because it's very scarce. It's a scarce asset. It grows value over time. It's secure. It's, you have access to it. It's permissionless. It's just beautiful. So this is why I'm holding my wealth into Bitcoin, and I'm only going to keep about 10%, a little, maybe even more, 10 to 15% more of my wealth in cash or, instruments of cash. But everything else is going to Bitcoin. I do want to mention I am going to continue to invest into my Fire 29 plan for my daughter because, that money grows tax-free. It would be nice for her to go to college. So, that's a whole instrument behind that. But other than that, Bitcoin, and I want to do that. So, peace out, y'all.